Can you give a brief introduction about yourself?
My name is Mai Nguyen, and I originally come from Vietnam. I've been around for I would say 20 years around the world, and I find Holland is very interesting place to stay. I teach intercultural communication and management in Amsterdam University of Applied Science, and I love my job very much because it helps people to see a new aspect of business in their modern life.
What is the most interesting aspect of a different culture?
The most interesting aspect of different culture is that it challenges your perception. You have a perception about a country, you have a kind of stereotype or assumption about the country. For example, Middle East is rich with oil, or Islam is women oppression. But then when you study this subject, your assumption is challenged and you change your mind. And in a way, when you change your mind, you change the way you look at the world, and you change yourself and become a new you. Is actually the most interesting aspect of this subject.
How strong is the sense of hierarchy within organizations in the Middle East? And do people accept that another person has more?
Of course, hierarchy is very important in Middle East. It's very important not just in Middle East, it's important in Asia, it's important in Latin America, it's important in Africa, it's very, very important in many, many other countries in the southern part of Europe as well. However, in Middle East, it just has a different way of looking at it, but it's very, very important. For example, I used to say that people love dictators over there, and in an organization, the boss or the manager is supposed to be a sort of dictator as well, but a good dictator, a sort of benevolent, good father in the organization, and that is the role that people expect to be seen in the manager.
Is one allowed to bring up controversial topics during a meeting? And if not, when would it be appropriate to mention or discuss those?
Everywhere in the world, it is possible to bring up a very controversial topic in a meeting. It is possible. It's just how you are going to do that. It depends on who are the people in the meeting, of course. If the people in the meeting are direct people, for example from Holland, it is not really a big problem. If people are from America, for example, people who really like challenges, is actually a very interesting part of the meeting. For people who are afraid to lose face, then of course you can still do that. It's just the tactic of how you do it. For example, you wouldn't talk about the person, you do not target the person, you target the issue and not the person. So for example, your paper is bad, I wouldn't say you wrote a bad paper. I would say I may have some suggestion about some issue in the paper, so I separated you and the paper that you wrote, and that is one of many, many tactics, of course.
What could you tell about the uncertainty avoidance in the Middle East?
The avoidance is a very difficult value to judge, and I would say in Middle East they are both weak and strong uncertainty avoiding. They both love risk and afraid of risk, and it all depends on cases. So it's very, very difficult to say that it all relies on who you are talking to, what kind of business you are investing in. So it is not really something that you can simply have an answer for it.
What is the biggest difference, in general, between doing business in the Middle East and Europe?
Middle East and Europe, the biggest difference? That is a big question. Let me see. I would say in Middle East, again, if I have to have one answer for it, is Inshallah. Inshallah is a very, very important phrase that people use in Middle East. Is that God, if God wants, if God wills, then it should be okay. And in Europe, it's not about Inshallah, it's about if we want, then it should be okay. So I think that's the biggest difference between Middle East and Europe.
Have you ever had an experience where you made a mistake because in another culture it's done different than in your culture?
I always have cultural shock. People think that I've been traveling a lot, I've been living around a lot, I've been to 80 different countries, and I shouldn't have cultural culture shock anymore. It's not true. Culture shock is something that you always have, but you just know that you will have it, so you will be well prepared for it, and it happens all the time. And I have to train myself into a person that is very weak uncertainty avoiding, so I can be tolerant enough, I can be open-minded enough, I can be ready for change at any time that I need to accept it.
Is there a culture which you can recommend everybody to experience once? So yes, which and why?
Oh, that's difficult. At this moment, I would think about Syria, because Syria is all over the news. Syria is everywhere. It's all about bloodshed. It's about conflict. It's about civil war in Syria. But my experience in Syria during the peak of the war was so different. So what I would like people to experience is that the opposite side of the media, the other side of what we see on TV and on the newspaper, because as I said, media only gives us one small part of the truth, and our mission is to see the big picture and not just the bad part that media gives us every day.
What is your advice for anyone who's going abroad and will come in contact with a different culture?
My last advice for the people who want to come to a different country and come into contact with people from a different culture is that actually not well prepared, but empty yourself. My idea about traveling or coming to another culture is that you have to be like a bottle, and you have to empty yourself completely, and then you let people in that culture fill you in. So you have no assumption, you have no stereotype. You let yourself vulnerable and open enough to absorb the new cultures, because if you are very, very well prepared, it also means that you are having a lot of stereotype and assumption and pre-assumption before you even step into that country. So another idea is just to empty yourself and let people fill you